Meme. An image, video, piece of text, etc., typically humorous in nature, that is copied and spread rapidly by internet users. Politics. Not typically humorous in nature. Yeah, political memes might seem like an unlikely pairing, but you may have seen quite a few floating around the internet recently.
I've seen a lot on TikTok actually that are in support of Labour.
I see lots of stuff about like Joe Biden.
Joe Biden sleeping on the conference, yep.
And like him falling up and down the stairs on a plane.
But what effects do political memes actually have? And should memes even be a part of modern day politics? Well, let's go back to where the worlds of memes and politics first collided. Hundreds of years before the internet, in fact as far back as the 1700s, cartoons bridged the gap between humour and political criticism. They were seen as a key part of a healthy democracy with freedom of speech and of the press, and still appear in newspapers around the world to this day, even with the rise of memes online.
There's been a lot of discussion about whether they are the political cartoon for the 21st century. I think there's still a place for the political cartoon because the artwork that people actually create. But yeah, they're basically a kind of a continuation or a morphing of political cartoons, I think.
I think sometimes maybe people get bogged down in the news and it's a bit depressing, but sometimes they can add a bit of humour to those kind of topics.
It does bring a bit of a lightness to like a lot of the stuff we're kind of going through, so that's nice.
Politicians themselves in recent years have noticed this trend and started creating their own memes to push their ideas. Like, for example, Clive Palmer, who became known as somewhat of a political meme lord. Seriously, that's what he was being called when he began posting memes back in 2016, and even released his own mobile game called Clive Palmer Humble Meme Merchant in 2019.
Clive Palmer may have been this sort of trendsetter from an institutional point of view. He could sort of put forward a vision of what he stood for that didn't actually require people to think terribly deeply about what that party and that man really stood for.
But it isn't just Clive. The Labour Party, the Greens and the Coalition have also jumped on the wagon.
This is $300 off your energy bill.
No one has made this dramatic of a change yet.
The Coalition's meme strategy was actually quite successful in the 2019 election, with the Bill Australia Can't Afford campaign, criticising then Labour frontrunner Bill Shorten, which might not look like a particularly good meme as we know it, but technically it is.
Actually, there was a term that a colleague of mine came up with, which these are actually boomer memes. These are directed at the people who are on Facebook, who are of the baby boom generation and who were most affected by the Shorten Labor Party's push on the franking credits issue. How do you make the issue of franking credits intelligible to anybody? Use a meme. In fact, distract them from the very issue itself and tell them it's about something else.
Political memes don't just come from the pollies. There are plenty of independent pages like Australian Green Memes for actually progressive teens, and individuals generating their own memes both here in Australia and overseas, especially around Kamala Harris and the US election.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the Kamala Harris, the coconut tree one. That's a good one. That's a big one. Yeah.
They're very, 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 if you like, democratic things, because anybody with a computer and access to an image macro and a bit of text editing software can create one and potentially go viral with it.
But the ease of creating and spreading memes does have drawbacks, especially around misinformation. In the past couple of weeks, this video posted by Federal Labor mocking Peter Dutton's nuclear plan, and this video posted by the Liberal National Party mocking Queensland Premier Stephen Miles, both using AI, have caused a bit of a stir. While the videos are marked as AI-generated content, the Queensland Premier says that it's a dangerous turning point in our democracy.
It's hard to regulate those kinds of things, as you would be aware. One person's lie is another person's opinion. I think we've been trained, though, to believe what we see in video, and that's what makes these deep fake videos from the LNP so dangerous.
Dangerous in my view, the real sense is whether it actually causes physical or emotional or intellectual harm. So yes, I do. I think that memes generated through AI potentially have immense power to generate harm if they target minority groups, as groups in the United States particularly do. And then there's something even more insidious, which is the harm that's caused by people acting on what they see.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe sometimes they get taken a little bit too far.
I think with like stronger themes, kids can perceive it in the wrong way.
People can definitely like switch it up on them. If they're not understanding the meme, it can go pretty sour.
And while there are lots of editorial rules and limits for political parties themselves, they don't all apply to memes.
Regular political advertising must contain a statement of who it's been authorised by. Memes don't have to do that.
I think lots of things on social media you find, you know they're not always real, so you have to watch out. Maybe you can like double check with your parents or just like maybe like source your information.
There's a distinction between what we should do and what we can actually do. Where do I think the line should be drawn? I don't know. It kind of depends on your political persuasion.
It's sometimes a fine line, but there are plenty of good reasons to use memes in politics, including being a cost-effective and easy way to communicate complex political ideas to a lot of people, engaging humour to break down pompous stereotypes, and helping young people get involved with political discussions.
The kids are the future, that we are the brains that will like almost like help the future. So what we think now is a big part of future elections.
Lots of the older generations are starting to look at memes and stuff. Like I know my dad's looking on Facebook and he's starting to get more involved with it all.
And younger kids are getting on TikTok now, so I think it will have a big effect.
So, with all that said, should memes have a place in modern day politics?
Memes have a place in modern day politics, whether we like it or not. We're always seeing in the mainstream media fears about voter disengagement from the younger generation. And if you can engage people in democracy through democratic means, or indeed democratic memes, then it will actually redound to the better.
I get a lot of news from just social media, and that occasionally is just the memes, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it appeals to younger people more.
I think it can be a very controversial thing, but yeah, definitely for education purposes there's good and bad.
I don't really think it should be used.
It's probably not the most formal thing.
I think it shows that they're trying to connect to younger people, so it's a positive overall.
Obviously politics isn't boring, but like kids, even I still have like a short attention span, so I think it's good.